Alright, okay, so welcome back guys to another Keter Century video. Yeah, I know. Another one. Okay, so anyway, today I'll be going through a Keter Century Tierlist. So this will cover start date 03 to VBT01. I'll be covering all the cards except the vanillas, and particularly mostly in context of being a rear guard. So this is because the current two builds, hexop and bastion, well, if you're playing the builds, you're playing the right line, so they can't be really ranked as the right line. So I won't be covering Bastion and Hexop themselves. I'll probably put them somewhere else. But for everything else, it's fair game. These are all other cards in your main deck. So I'll be covering cards as significant as Alden, to some funny tech choices like, let's see, yeah, Platinum move, yeah, over here. So here's my ranking system. So for S tier are cards which are very strong at the moment and are unlikely to remain strong in the future. At least within a year, I don't see them being replaced. A tier, well, these are cards which are very strong, but because they might have some hefty cost or hard to meet condition, they could easily be replaced once the deck has more options. Then for B, these are like for tech options. Well, not really tech options. There can still be important cards for the strategy, but are not really played at high amounts to balance things out. For C, I'll put strictly tech options. So this is like, you only play it to surprise your opponent, or maybe it's for very niche use or future deck we might need it. Then for D, I'll say obsolete cards. That is the only cards in D I'll say is like, it's not very, there's no reason to play it if you can afford all of them. So yeah, we'll see what it goes into that. So for context, this is recorded on the 24th of May. So yeah, about a week into English Overdress. Yeah. So without ado, let's begin. So Alden, I've talked a lot about this card. Very strong attacker for Bastion, even possible for hybrid grade 3 builds with hexop and even future support, as it's the best advantage engine Keter has. Although it has a Comblast 2 and Soul Blast 1 cost, acting as attacker and advantage engine makes it obviously S tier. Can't replace this thing. The only way I can see Alden being replaced is there's definitely cheaper cost that works on turn 3 as well. Next, Hexop. As I said, right line bosses, I don't want to go through them, so I'll put them in. I'll just do them here. Yeah. So next up is Fossard. So Fossard is a very strong rear guard, rather infamous one because it's one of the first few cards revealed other than Trickstar to have the basically resist. So what this means is that it's very strong in control matchups such as Eugene, Varina, even Bruce has some options for it, as well as Prison, the big elephant in the room. So what Fossado does is he gives you a body that you can call up anytime of the game to just annoy your opponent. Also, is a second effect which plays in tandem with all Keter Century decks, is when it hits, you can actually counter charge one and soul charge one. You do both. So this counteracts cards like Alden's cost and other cards you'll see. And this makes Keter Century run very smoothly for the moment, and it's a staple for off in most Keter Century decks and variants. For that reason, I'll put it up in S tier, as Hexop and Bastion can play it. I would say the only build that won't play it and it's like full deck is maybe Control Bastion, but even still taking in a few and cutting like Commerce 1 or 2 wouldn't hurt the deck at all. Next is Painkiller Angel, a very flexible grade 1. So what Painkiller does, it's Soul Blast 1 and Orbital boosted, you draw one card. You kill yourself and draw one card. So it's a very simple card you use to rush with, to apply early pressure in Bastion, or in Hexop to draw the more pieces. So in Bastion, this actually has 2 uses. If you play more balanced lineup, you can actually use this to draw into your Eldens, and actually acts a booster later in the game, so you do not really need to sustain your soul as much with Dark Strange Dragon. So for this reason, I'll put it up in S, actually I'll put it in A tier, as if the decks do eventually solve the early game regression problem, which Bastion does have, and Hexop actually has dedicated searches, this will probably be cut from the deck, but for the moment, it's definitely a strong card that I feel every Keter player needs to have at 4 copies. At least you own it to try it out. Then I'll over trigger, and okay, not much to say about this card. like Dragon Deity of Honor's Armadillo. So Armadillo, when draft checks, it's over trigger, then it also gives all the regular draft checks. So it gives grade 3 student drive, it gives grade 2 and grade 1 drive. So it's very strong Keter, as it helps both Bastion and Hexop more than the Elemental in general. So with Bastion, it helps you check grade 3s if you do miss the grade 3 from Bastion student drive. Or in Hexop, it just stacks even more power. So of course S tier. Dark Strain, I'll touch it a little bit, but it basically gives a full fill of grade 3s, basically you need 3 grade 3s, boost for the turn. So you only need 1 on the field at a time. It's an act, so it's really good. But having a plus 2 may possibly fight for resources in the future. So if Bastion has a way to pressure without using much show, this will actually drop as attack choice in B and C. But for moment, I'll put it in A. Then a card I'm not really a fan of is Great Extinguished Solaria. So Solaria is one of the 3 cards which helps you maintain advantage as a grade 3. So as such, you'll see run very commonly in Bastion decks, as people for some reason like to damage deny Bastion at 1 damage to prevent a second Alden or Commoth. So some people like to run Solaria as an early game way to get back cards through the right deck, or as a discard option for Bastion. In my opinion, it's worth running, but I'm not a big fan of it, and I can see easily being cut, so you might see it 2 to 3, maybe 4 copies in some builds, but I'll put it in B. Then Pentagram Sorceress, this is as a rare guard by the way. So as a rare guard, it's a grade 2 flexible card, on place, no cost, do top card, put top or bottom, put it at the top, nothing happens, put the bottom, gets 2k, so the 2k doesn't hit much magic numbers, but the freeze cry is very strong hexop, and I can see it being played in Bastion, so I'll put it in A actually. So this card actually has pretty good use in Bastion if you choose to play it, and is a key card in Hexop for the moment. Next up is Divine Sister Tartan. So when first revealed, I was very happy with this card, but more testing has shown otherwise. So what it does is Solas 1, when you place it on Dragon, rest it, look top 2 cards of your deck, put up 1 to the top, 1 to the bottom. It's also top place for Bastion. It helps Hexop find triggers if it's not on a personal right turn. So very strong scry option, top 2 especially, but it does rest itself, so on turns you want to go hard, losing the EK booster can really hurt. So I'll put it in B tier actually. I know it's pretty controversial this card. Do let me know what you think about this card. Definitely high potential, but for the moment I think only Hexop plays it at 3, and that's out of necessity because there's no other way to scry for the moment. Hopefully set 2 gives us something, as we've seen one of the grade 2s come out, so maybe 2 to 3 off in the future. Then Divine Sister Fakiata. So this is a card I've sing praises for a while. You see my budget version deck, my early Hexop things. So what this card does is once per turn when you check trigger, so +2, counter charge 1. Helps you make battle phase plays with Lepisto and even Funil to some extent. Generally, as damage denying is kind of hard, but because you have counter charge battle phase, you can do more things. Also playing Facade helps with the maintaining of the soul. So I'll put in B. It's useful and a key card in Hexop for the moment, but it will be dropped once we get very cost-effective cards. So Perfect Guards, Aegis Maverick. So this is a new one that if one card in hand, it's a free basically. S tier, not much to say. If you can afford it, obviously go for it. If you can't get it, it's okay. Then next card is Cocabill. So this is the card that gets shield value for every grade 3 on your Vanguard, Rearguard, and Guardian. So it counts itself and the Vanguard, by the way. So it works as a 5k shield. So this scales very well in high grade 3 Bastion versions, and it's generally a 3-off in other non-heavy grade 3 focus versions. So I'll put it in A tier for sure. It's a key card, you need it. But once stronger defensive options do come out, do expect this to be dropped. But at the moment, there's no harm in playing it. Yes, as it allows you to run a high grade 3 count without losing as much shield value. Next is Lepisto. I'll put this in A tier, yep. So this is kind of controversial for some people, but this card's a key card in Hexop to maintain monthly attacks. As one bad thing about in this format is that this format actually rewards aggro plays a lot. So having Lepisto in even Bastion has 1 or 2 tag in, as I covered before. I even had a budget build that focus on cheating on that. Or you're playing Hexop. This card's very powerful. It's count +2, yes I know, but battle phase on a personal right turn, freeze 10, yeah. 4 attacks, in Bastion be 5 attacks. Very strong card. Maybe this will be card in the future, but for third one meta game, definitely A. Then Vanguard Overdress, which is a worse version of Lepisto in some regards. So what Vanguard does is that during your turn, when you got 3 or more victory units, includes Vanguard like most of Dark Tierlist, Comblast 2, during its battle, the battle by the way, not end of turn, if end of turn, I'll definitely push it up, it gets 1 critical. So yeah, it's kind of hard to justify playing this when you got Lepisto over here, but I guess this one's guaranteed. This is why trigger, but as this doesn't add any more power, this only I'll say see play in hexop. So let's say your opponent's 4 damage check crit, you put a crit on one column, this card comes out, you can get another crit. So it's like both sides, I think, pretty good numbers with crit. I would say it's pretty much like a checkmate confirm card. So I'll actually put this as the first C card as a surprise tag option. You will rarely see this card played in competitive play, maybe as a one-off at most. Then this card is Divine Sister. Actually, I'm not really sure. Actually, there's so many of them. So, but what this card basically says, it's a grade 2 10k. When you check a trigger, so +1 give 5k at the end of turn. So Soul's pretty heavy for Hexop. I wouldn't play it. It's now you rather play the grade 3 package. Oh, and 5k for the power is pretty alright. I'll put it in actually C tier. Yeah, this is, if you're playing Hexop aggro, yeah, you'll play it. But only that build plays this in my opinion. As if you play a stable Hexop, you'll be playing mostly grade 3s and grade 1s after all. Next is Tier Square Sorceress. Remember, this is a rare guard effect, so when you check trigger, come +1, you can board deck a unit from the opponent's front row. So this is very strong in the Valiant matchup. So you can even see some Bastion people, like even me, after testing it out. But it's a pretty strong rare guard, it's a tag option. So yeah, tag option. Then Fetch Vessel, yeah. So this is the 10k booster. When you boost the unit, it gets 2k. So 10k, pretty okay. Definitely has users in Hexop to form 23k columns and above. I'll put it in C2, easily replaced. Then Bastion, yeah, as I said, I won't be covering them as they are the main boss units. Then next, Rooks. Again, now I heavily spear Rooks. So this is the grade 2 right from the Bastion right line. When you check, when you got 3 or more grade 3 units, it gets 5k and boost. So it is a very strong 15k booster, and it's costless, so you don't have to pay cost for Dark Strain. And ultimately, it can be used as an attacker or interceptor depending on your formation. So a very strong card, I'll say. I'll put it straight in A tier. Any grade 3, high grade 3 focus decks, even if you're not playing Bastion, but you're forced to play grade 3s in the future, very strong option, I'll recommend. Next is Forts. So Forts as a rear guard, I would say it's pretty redundant. I'll put it in D. The first D card. Remember, this is as a rear guard. It's the right deck, of course, is essential. But come +1 to give Vanguard 5k, for the moment, it's really not impressive. Unless we get a restanding Vanguard or God Restrict Vanguard, then maybe it'll see play. But for the moment, we have much more to do with Conblast, extra attacks, card advantage, and all that. And even more power without doing all this. Then get Vehement Niche Ramana. So Ramana I'll put in D tier too. Yeah, you might be wondering like why? Conblast get 5k at the end of battle, right? Pretty 20k attacker. Well, this is pretty much future proofing actually. So this actually can be considered for even SS01 to some regard. So there's a card coming out called Alpheon, which totally invalidates playing this card at all. Because the card gets 5k at the end of the turn. This card gets 5k at the end of battle. They got a strict upgrade to this card. For standard at least. Maybe the Witch, something in premium. I don't think so, but yeah. Next, I'll say a card in A tier. So this would be Knight of Broadix, Rough Look. So Rough Look's a key card in Bastion or whatever. As is the one grade 3 that can be put in full as early as turn 3 to activate a lot of plays for the deck, to form magic numbers, 4 damage in, and just generally split like an order card more than a unit. Very flexible card, as we will see more applications of it in the future, especially with the new order card. Those who gather here, show those who want to gather here, I'll make a video on that. So for this, Rough Look is definitely be A tier, possibly S tier in the future if we really do dwell in very hard in the Bastion. This card also got reprint in SS01 as a SP as a triple R, yeah, so they are clearly pushing for this card. Then Platinum Move. Once per turn, Soul Blast 2, it gets 5k at the end of turn. No, not once per turn, you can Soul Blast as many times you want. So in Premium, I know Premium has uses for as a Infinite Loop with instead of Kanada, I think that's the name, yeah, but for in the context of standard, it's pretty bad unless we have a Genesis archetype coming feature. So these cards, remember, D is really for the cards which are not worth playing for set 1 meta. Then Perfect Gods. If you have this is irrelevant, honestly. So that's pretty clear card. But remember, Perfect Gods are still good. Overtrigger. Okay, Oberon. Okay, so this one's actually, I wouldn't put it in D as like invalidated by armadillo over here. The reason being, for the moment, yeah, we have decks which run on full field, right? But remember, one of the decks in Keter Century is Shadow Paladin. So if Shadow Paladin does keep retiring its regards, maintaining a full field might actually be hard to take full use of Armadillo. So I'll say this card's definitely in A tier. Even in Bastion is pretty decent. And it's generally an Overtrigger, you can't go wrong with it. Maybe I'll put it on S tier because yeah, Overtrigger is a win game, but generally because Armadillo exists for the current builds, yeah, I'll say this is particularly the better Overtrigger for Keter for the moment, but maybe more developments and even like other builds coming up, definitely do not just throw this in the corner. Now the last 3 cards, so the order of our whole judgment cometh, so immediately A tier, possibly S tier, but I'll put it A as I've seen some builds not run it. But this order card basically says Counterblast 2, draw 2 cards, give 1 unit 5k, so you can give 5k to any unit and draws 2 cards. So this card's insane utility in hexop, and it's a good backup to Bastion, to Alden in Bastion. So a card you'll probably see long-term use in, despite its Counterblast 2 cost. I know the new order cards coming out might replace it, but that's only for some builds, as that order card requires 4 grade 3s on the board. And then, okay, Downswing Sword of Judgment. So that video stream my Battle Control build or before the official name came out. So what this card does is 2 plus 1 grade 3, shoot 1 Regard, then set all Regards in the same column with it to the bottom of the deck. So it's a full column wipe, yeah, for Keter Century. Really strong synergy with Rough Loop, and in Bastion Control is a key card, but we'll see. I'll put it in B tier as it's only specific for that build. You can play as a tech option in normal Bastions and even Hexop to some degree, but Soul is pretty tight for Keter. Then the last card I'll cover is Hopeful Tetsudo. So Hopeful Tetsudo is a Blitz order. You get 15k shield if you've got 3 units. Pretty decent option. Maybe you're forced to play more draws, you'll probably run it. For the moment, it's very rarely seen, so I would say B tier, yeah. Alright, so let's see what they're interested to make. So this 4, yeah, preset self-explanatory. A tier, B tier, C, D. Yep, okay, I'm pretty satisfied with this. Maybe Perfect Gods. Yeah, I could say it's pretty okay, but this is for the reasons of there's no current build that uses these cards to any potential, or they just has strict upgrades coming up, or just in general invalidated if you're playing competitive play. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed this style of videos. This is my first time making a tier list actually. Oh yeah, quick update on the Bastion guide. So the Bastion guide is coming out on the 30th, as hopefully 30th, yeah, written by yours truly. So hope you all enjoyed it. And yeah, without nothing else, yeah, see you next video. Maybe I'll do Dragonfire next, or maybe I'll just do a deck profile. Yeah, maybe that's better. Okay, goodbye.